it's rap-ish. I ain't even broke a sweat, homie, this practice. Pondering my next move, staring at my track list. Hope I ain't missing my window. Praying like a Baptist, Seattle's own. Tired of this Game of Thrones. They made a list of the best rappers, and guess who wasn't on? While the disrespect continues, I'm steady packing these venues. Guess if you ain't at the table, you on the menu. And I'm that spitter, baby. They don't want you to see, but everybody's south of Capitol Hill's rocking with me. Boys smoke the trays and ponder getting their life together. I'm comfortable with my role, so I'm like, whatever. I ain't got a job, but I work hard. And you don't work hard, but you got a job. The irony is I'm judged while you feel the applause. I'm slept on, that's why I had to set this alarm. My dudes is armed, I'm armed with this arm charm. Body banging like she got that cream from Barry Bonds. Yeah.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
X-ray season is here, a real hitter with a mic, I'm everything that they fear. With that, hood ain't the same, I was all on their ass, I'm level-headed. So yo, my dudes love when I spaz, and I'm so over Seattle's passive-aggressive attitude. They don't call you back, what they really saying is F you. While I'm from the same place, I move at a different pace. I prefer if you just said it to my face, damn, I did it.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
Average dudes with they average spit, writing average rhymes, knocking average chicks. The closer I get, I can feel the people starting to shift. I'm loyal to a fault, and everybody can't come with. Rap's a rich man's game, I'm only playing with change. They bang models and singers, I'm knocking my old flame, I'm different. The crowd, I move with the chosen few. Black thoughts, I could be the front man for the roots. No diamonds and gold, I'm on my sticks and stones. If we can see your panty line, you should have on a thong. My team is strong, through this fire we forged a bond. And they already know what it is when I get on. To the hearse, party like it's December 31st. When I'm on my deathbed, I probably cracking my nurse. You ain't got the bars to compete, I'm a verbal athlete. Deflating these boys so they say that I cheat. Damn, I did it.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
Yeah. I should probably start by apologizing for the long wait, man. You know, I know I be tripping. But I'm not just a rapper, I'm an artist. And, you know, my creative process is a little bit different than most. Nonetheless, I want to welcome everybody out to the Dre's Experience. I got TCF in the building. My whole camp's here with me. I got the band in here laying this cool-ass vibe. And I'm Seattle's own. Let's get into it.
Hey, welcome everybody. Happy Thursday to all of you out there. Such a beautiful day here in the Emerald City. Welcome to the Morning Update Show. I am your co-host, Trey Holiday, and I'm excited to get into it today with my co-host, Big O. What up, Big O?
Trey Holiday.
Hey, happy Thursday, my friend.
Man, happy Thursday. Man, today is my Friday.
Yeah, today's your Friday.
Yes, I have tomorrow off.
Good for you.
Man. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. So you'll be joined by Jake Gravbrot tomorrow.
Yeah.
Proofing the play.
You know I'm looking forward to it, man. My brothers.
Yeah, got a few things going on.
Absolutely.
All right, everybody. I want to welcome you to the Morning Update Show. Remind you that this is a great time right now to tag and share the stream. Tag and share the stream with people who you feel could appreciate culturally relevant news and information emanating from right here in the Emerald City. Only got a few headlines today. We got a special guest, right?
Yeah, so excited to have Jazmyn Scott in the building with us today. Really looking forward to getting into some good discussion with her second half of the show.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you know, I'm super excited too. Jazmyn, ooh, look, you see that?
Yeah,
motion graphics is popping today.
Handcrafted, yes.
Handcrafted. Jazmyn is talking about two things: the Seattle Black Film Festival. And like, you know, I'm excited about film, but you know, Jazmyn has such a legacy here. You know, we're going to talk about her mom and pops in KYAC. That was Seattle's very first Black-owned radio station. It's Throwback Thursday, and it's going to be a real fitting throwback with Jazmyn.
Absolutely. I'm so glad that we have her here today to dive in to some great history and give it a nice throwback to KYAC.
It's a lot of luck. You know, you're a filmmaker yourself.
You know
talk about the films and all kinds of good stuff.
Yeah.
So, man, as usual, tracking the Derrick Chauvin trial is winding down. It was some interesting stuff that was happening this morning. The prosecution came with some their rebuttal, and they're trying to get some blood tests entered. It's wild. Anyways, the trial is winding down. Here's the update here. This clip is from CBS this morning.
The defense is expected to rest its case today in the trial of former police officer Derrick Chauvin. A retired forensic pathologist was the only witness to testify Wednesday, and he faced intense scrutiny from the prosecution. Jamie Yukas was there in court yesterday as a pool reporter. Jamie, good morning to you.
Good morning, Tony. Dr. David Fowler testified that George Floyd had many factors that could have contributed to his death. That testimony directly countered the prosecution's argument that Floyd couldn't breathe because he was pinned under Chauvin's knee. And I can tell you from being inside the courtroom, much of the jury is paying attention to it all. Defense expert witness Dr. David Fowler testified it was his opinion the cause of death should be undetermined because there were so many potential reasons George Floyd died, including heart disease, drug use, and then one the jury hadn't heard before.
There is exposure to a vehicle exhaust, so potentially carbon monoxide poisoning.
Fowler said it was a possibility because Floyd was restrained close to the police car's exhaust pipes. The prosecution fought back.
Do you agree with me that there was no finding of carbon monoxide poisoning from Dr. Baker's autopsy review?
I do.
Do you know if in fact the car was on or not? You didn't see any information or data from anybody who says I either turned the car on or I'm the one who turned it off?
Correct.
Fowler emphasized Floyd's drug use as a potential cause of death.
In the back corner of Mr. Floyd's mouth, you can see what appears to be a white object.
On cross-examination, prosecutor Jerry Blackwell went back to what is in the state's autopsy report.
Isn't it true that there weren't any pills found in Mr. Floyd's stomach?
Correct. Dr. Baker did not identify any pill, tablet, call you what you want.
The prosecutor also asked Dr. Fowler if he agreed Floyd should have been given medical attention while he was on the ground.
Immediate medical attention for a person who's gone into cardiac arrest may well reverse that process, yes.
Fowler is currently the subject of a federal lawsuit in Maryland brought by Anton Black's family, who claims he and the medical examiner's office covered up police responsibility for their 19-year-old son's death. The young man died while being subdued by police in 2018. The judge ruled the prosecution could bring rebuttal witnesses starting today. Tony?
Jamie, as we mentioned at the top, you were one of only 2 pool reporters, which means you were allowed in the courtroom yesterday. What was your takeaway being there in the room for the first time?
Yeah, Tony, I have to tell you, there's a lot of nervous energy between the prosecution and the defense when you're sitting there. The jurors are often taking lots of notes, but halfway through the 3rd week of this trial, you can see the toll it's starting to take, especially with such complex testimony like we saw yesterday. And I do want to point out, as for Derrick Chauvin, he has repeatedly been described in court as 140 pounds. But when I saw him from less than 10 feet away, it struck me how small he really is in stature. He also is constantly writing notes himself in an almost mechanical fashion. Tony?
Very interesting details there, and notable to hear that the jury is still doing its very best to pay attention to a lot coming at them. Jamie, thank you very much.
All right, so something else that happened this morning as well is that Derrick Chauvin took the 5th, so pleaded the 5th, however it is. So he's not going to testify, and so that's why they've moved on now into rebuttal. And yeah, they're going to send it here to the box real soon.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the fact that jurors are taking, it sounds like a copious amount of notes. I mean, they're probably being very detailed, ensuring that they understand all of the information that's coming at them. But, you know, as she said there, I mean, I'm not shocked that it's taking a toll, man. 3 weeks of this kind of intense, you know, investigation. They're seeing it, they're hearing it, they're reliving it over and over again. Man, that will take a toll. So, you know, just shout out to the jurors, man, for, you know, being there and being the ones that are going to really help understand how we see this case through. I mean, it's a tough one.
So in the carbon monoxide poisoning, that was one of the things that they were talking about this morning. I had to leave before I saw the outcome on that. But basically, there was some test results. There was a panel of tests on George Floyd's blood, and in this panel of tests, it would prove like the carbon monoxide levels in his blood. Something else they're trying to get in there. It didn't sound like the judge was going to let it in. But yeah, I mean, the defense is throwing everything at it to try to, make it appear as if Chauvin had nothing to do with his death.
I'm sorry, but we really do have to learn from what we've been talking about here at a local level, also nationally, when we think about people's history of how they use their power. Here we have a former medical examiner who is under investigation, and he's the only one that they could get to be on the stand to say, maybe it's this and maybe it's that. If I was a juror, I'd also be very keen to that, because it's not as if they had a multitude of people that they could call on to talk about George Floyd in this way that this doctor or former medical examiner has done. And, honestly, the fact that it's public record that he is on, have under investigation for another, example of him possibly making sure the police are not taking responsibility for another yet Black death. I'm sorry. That's something I would be paying attention to as a juror.
All right, moving right along, just a few miles there from Minneapolis, in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, the officer that shot and killed Daunte Wright was charged with second-degree manslaughter.
So we're going to go to Minnesota, where the push for justice in the death of Daunte Wright is really raging there. Former Brooklyn Center police officer Kim Potter will be in court for the very first time today. She is charged with second-degree manslaughter after killing Wright during a routine traffic stop. There were clashes last night in Brooklyn Center between the protesters throwing things and police using tear gas to disperse the crowd. But most of the day's events, we have to say, were peaceful, including a vigil for Daunte Wright, where he was shot. Omar Villafranca is in the Brooklyn Center. Omar, good morning to you.
Good morning. Things are calm now behind me, as you can see, and despite the mayor's calls for peaceful protests, there was some unrest last night. But now the mayor says that law enforcement officials are working to identify what they call agitators, because he says he knows there's a lot of people who are coming here to protest peacefully.
Your voices have been heard.
Brooklyn Center Mayor Mike Elliott urged calm in the community following the announcement that charges of second-degree manslaughter had been brought against former police officer Kim Potter.
There is nothing I can say or do that will bring Daunte back or ease your grief. His death will not go in vain.
Potter, a 26-year veteran of the force, had been training another officer Sunday when they pulled Wright over for an expired tag. They discovered Wright had an outstanding warrant for a misdemeanor weapons charge and tried to arrest him. When Wright resisted, the former police chief said Potter thought she grabbed her taser, but instead pulled her Glock 9mm handgun with her right hand. An investigator examining Potter's duty belt after the shooting said her taser was on her left side and her handgun was on the right, as seen in this past photo. According to the criminal complaint, the taser was yellow with a black grip and set in a straight draw position, meaning the defendant would have to use her left hand to draw the taser out of its holster. A taser also weighs about 8 ounces, while a loaded handgun is about 2 pounds.
Manslaughter 2 is the least she should get. The least, possibly more.
Civil rights activist Al Sharpton praised the decision to charge Potter.
If she didn't know in 26 years the difference in size and weight of a gun as opposed to a taser, then how was she a veteran in policing?
Potter is now out on bail, and if convicted, she could face a maximum of 10 years in prison and a $20,000 fine. Now, we talked to use of force expert Greg Meyer, and he said in the last 20 years, I want to get this right, 18 cases where officers have confused their weapons and fired at suspects have happened, including this case. And of those cases, 8 officers were charged. 2 cases are still pending, including Potter's. Tony?
Shows how rare this really is. Omar, thank you very much.
Trey Holiday.
I mean, they're talking about how rare it is. I mean, we, civilians who don't know the difference between the weight of a loaded gun or a taser, I think immediately thought there's got to be some major difference here. And when we started hearing that, the gun is on one side, the taser's on the other, how you pull your gun and think you're holding a taser is still one of the parts that does not compute to me as a regular person. And so I'm glad that she's been charged. I mean, this is what I'm talking about here. If we don't start setting examples in these kinds of cases, they just continue. We're seeing it time and time again where people are getting off for these things. They talked about the number there in however many, 20 years. This right here is straight up murder. Whether she thought she had her taser or not, you don't get off because you want to now claim it was an accident.
Yeah. This is, I mean, as usual, let's see what happens here. I mean, they have moved swiftly on it, and we'll see how it proceeds out there in Brooklyn Center. I mean, like, man, Minneapolis area right now is a flashpoint.
Absolutely, man.
And I mean, this verdict is going to be out real soon because they're going to sequester the jury. And the jury's going to sit in the box, man, until they got their verdict. And, we'll see how it plays out. But yeah, she's charged on it. I mean, there was a lot of things about that arrest as well. That it's like, if you're getting somebody out the car, you should take them to the back of the car. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to go and I mean, it's just a bunch of smaller things. But they move swiftly.
There we go. I mean, I know a lot of people are at least saying, like Al Sharpton said there, the least they could do is this charge right here for this case. Something else for us to keep our fingers on the pulse of, Bo.
Yeah, this is true. Like I said, only a few headlines today because we have Jazmyn Scott in the building, getting ready to talk to her here. But one thing, the Seattle Public Library needs your help. I never thought we'd be like, Seattle Public Library. Seattle Public Library needs your help. And we're talking about the Soul Pole. You know the Soul Pole?
Oh, yeah, the Soul Pole.
All right. So for people who might not be familiar with the Soul Pole is right there at Douglas Truth Library. It's on 23rd and Yesler. There goes the Soul Pole right there. It was, carved in the late 60s and gifted to the library in 1972. And man, the Soul Pole is in need of repair. And so what they're getting ready to do is they're going to take the Soul Pole down and then restore it. And the Soul Pole was built in honor of 400 years of African-American history and the struggle for justice in the United States. And the Seattle Public Library is looking for the original students. These are some students from Rotary and the artist. I think his name was Derrick X. And so they're looking. So if you know any of the original students that helped create the Soul Pole, the Seattle Public Library is looking for you. And so it's supposed to be it's big deal, and I talked to the people at the library yesterday. I said, we're going to watch this closely because, how the neighborhood is changing. We'd hate to see it come down and not go back up. Right. You see what I'm saying? But the Black Heritage Society of Washington State's involved, Stephanie Johnson Tolliver. And yeah, they want to take the Soul Pole down and they want to restore it and then put the Soul Pole back and do a big celebration with some of the original creators.
I love this, actually. I agree with you wholeheartedly that we want to make sure it goes back up and that the legacy of what it's there to represent, that it's another way for people to understand the legacy of Black effort in this country to make this country what it is today. I'm really hoping that they're able to find these original students who helped to make this possible and the artists. But yeah, let's make sure that it gets the restoration it needs, man. We don't want the Soul Pole leaning. We don't need it on no type of lean. We want it to be, nice and prominent as it's always been. Pole. Absolutely.
Yeah. So they just put out this press release yesterday. Like I said, I talked to the people at Seattle Public Library. And we're gonna follow this. I think we're gonna do a segment on it, history on it, talk to SJT and everything else.
Love it, yeah.
Okay, well, we're gonna take a quick break right now. when we come back, we have Jazmyn, and Jazmyn is going to sit here, and we're going down memory lane first. We're going to talk about KYAC, and then we'll come back and take a break, and you'll talk to Jazmyn about the Seattle Black Film Festival. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
Back on this rap ish, I ain't even broke a sweat, homie, this practice. Pondering my next move, staring at my track list, hope I ain't miss my window. Praying like a Baptist, Seattle's own, tired of this Game of Thrones. They made a list of the best rappers, and guess who wasn't on? While the disrespect continues, I'm steady packing these venues.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.
And the one day I'm not wearing any Converge merch, we got the Converge merch ad there. You know, that's a good way that you can support us here at Converge Media, where we converge.com/shop. You can pick up some shirts. We got coffee mugs. We got pins. We got stickers. Like, it's mad affordable too. I think we got stuff on there like $3, $4, things like that. So welcome back to the Morning Update Show. My name is Omari Salisbury. I'm really happy right now. Man, somebody we've been talking to for a few years now about your work. You know, a lot of people kind of heard about us at the protest, don't realize, like, we've been telling these community stories for years, you know. Want to welcome Jazmyn to the show. How are you?
I'm fantastic, Omari. It's so good to see you. It's so good to see you and Trey,
man,
my longtime friends.
You bring a lot of energy to the set.
I'm glad I could do that.
You see, we upgraded our digs since the last time too.
I know. I am impressed, but I've been impressed. So, you know, you guys just keep wowing us.
All right. So before we jump into it, you can introduce yourself to the public.
Well, I'm Jazmyn Scott. And I am the program manager for Langston, which is the nonprofit organization that's housed in the Langston Hughes Performing Arts Institute. We started our work in late 2016, and we were created essentially to take over the programming in the space. So the city still owns and operates the building, the Office of Arts and Culture, but we are the primary organization that does the programming in the space. And the other organization that's housed in the space as well is the CD Forum, Central District Forum for Arts and Ideas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good stuff. So I know that Treyana originally reached out to you to talk about the Seattle Black Film Festival.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what? I was like, yo, you know, there's a whole nother story, probably so many other stories. But a lot of people might not realize that your mom and dad were right there at KYAC, which was, maybe you could tell everybody what KYAC was.
KYAC was the first Black-owned radio station here in Seattle. It went by other call letters and stuff when it originated, I think in the like 1922 or something, like early radio days. But in the 70s, I can't remember the man's name, unfortunately, but a Black man was able to take over that station and run it for several years. Yeah. And both my parents were on air there.
We got some overlays. We'll just pop this up. You can tell us what's going on. Who's that?
That's my daddy. That's my dad at KYAC. And my father's name was Robert L. Scott. And he spent his pretty much entire lifetime in radio in some capacity. Should I go through the story a little bit? Or
yeah, we got time for you right here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, basically, he started in radio at the age of 14. And it was his freshman year at Rainier Beach High School. And he convinced, who was it? The program manager at the UW radio station, which was KUOW, to let him host a weekend jazz show. And then by the end of that year, he was hosting on KYAC. He was hired by Frank P. Barrow, who a lot of people know.
Frank Barrow, the legend,
Uncle
the man,
Frank,
the myth.
yeah.
All right.
And by the time my dad graduated, he was a morning show host on KYAC. He later became a program manager, music and news director. And he would also, so old school folks before us, they remember that sometimes when my dad would fill in to do the news, he went by an alias, Jack Friday. And
Jack
my mom,
Friday,
and it's hilarious because those of us, or the people who knew my father's voice, would always be like, who does he think he's fooling? When he would get on air and say, this is Jack Friday, and do his whole thing with the news. And people would be like, that's Robert L. But that was his alias when he would do the news.
We got a few more overlay. I think this was a news clip in here from the Medium, the
Yeah.
Seattle Medium. It's still here today.
That's right.
You know, black newspaper, the Medium, KYAC, Safeway, Rap 2. This was like from 1979 right here. What's going on with this article?
So my mom is in the center of that photograph because she was also on air at KYAC, and she would do a lot of the community events. And so there was another article that I didn't share with you guys where it said, rap with Viv.
Really?
And so she would do a lot of the live on air in community stuff, but she was also in studio on the radio as well. And it was actually my father who gave her her first opportunity to be on the radio. My parents had known each other since the 3rd grade.
Wow.
So they were friends, grew up together, eventually married and had me.
Wow. Oh yeah, can you put the last one back up, the one you just had? I just want to point out there in the top right corner, Gay's Bakery ordered to hire minorities now. This is 1979. People not from Seattle might not recognize the name Gay's Bakery, but you'll recognize Fran's Bakery. And Fran's bought Gay's some years ago. But look at that, Gay's Bakery ordered to hire minorities now.
And folks that know me and my mom personally will chuckle at the context to that. I won't say why, but folks, if you know, you know.
Yeah. Speaking of your mom, I think we have there we go.
The baby Viv. And so that's my mom at KYAC, actually at the exact same soundboard that my father was sitting at in the picture that you showed of him. And I don't know the exact years. I think she said that was probably around 78, 79. I don't know when the picture of my father was taken, but it looks very similar. So I imagine it was probably around the same time.
Mm-hmm. Man, you know, I'm a history buff. I'm a media buff. I'm a black media, super fan. Like this is dope. You know, I was talking to Stephanie Johnson Tolliver at the Black Heritage Society, and she was giving me a whole lesson of KYAC. She was like, "No, man, now look, you need it was this, and that. You need to talk to Jazmyn." And so it was like fate. You know what I'm saying? That you're able to join us here this morning, and hopefully me and you can hang out because I want to talk and learn more and some of everything else. You know, and we got one more photo here. Let me see.
Which one? Oh yeah. That's one of my favorites.
There it is.
Yeah.
And it was the best music on radio. KYAC 96.5 FM.
That's right. My dad was quite a personality. And he actually, one thing that I didn't note too is that he did make news and history because he was the first Black on-air radio personality in Seattle. So he is dope. Very well known for that legacy, and so I'm really proud of that. And I also just want to note too, today when you talk about fate and everything, because unfortunately I didn't have time to like pull. There's so many things I could have pulled up to bring. So when we get together on a different time, I can show you some other things. But for folks that don't know, my father did pass away several years ago, and today is actually the 23rd anniversary of his passing. So being here today to talk about him is really special. So thank you guys.
Man,
today.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure he's looking down very proud.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. We're going to take a short break right now. When we come back, Trey Holiday hops in my seat, and we're going to talk about the Seattle Black Film Festival. You are watching the Morning Update Show.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
Back on this rap ish, I ain't even broke a sweat, homie, this practice. Pondering my next move, staring at my track list, hope I ain't miss my window. Praying like a Baptist, Seattle's own, tired of this Game of Thrones. They made a list of the best rappers, and guess who wasn't on? While the disrespect continues, I'm steady packing these venues.
Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media. Welcome back to the Morning Update Show. I am your co-host, Trey Holiday, and I'm so excited that I get to sit here with my girl, Miss Jazmyn Scott. Thank you so much for joining us again today.
I'm so happy to be here. I'm just so grateful for the invitation.
I mean, come on. Absolutely. I mean, you've been doing amazing things at Langston, keeping programming going. I know firsthand and inside knowledge about how you get down. And I want to just take a step back here, because what you just said about your father, I mean, honestly gave me chills. Y'all have no idea. You know, we were sitting here playing with some dates. We really were thinking about the film festival. And so for you to be able to share that, you know, that we're celebrating really your father's life and legacy. And I'm overjoyed. But I want to go back to your mom a bit here, because I didn't even know that your mother was who?
I didn't mention her name as we were talking about her and showing her pictures, but her name is Vivian Phillips, for those who might not know whose child I am, who I belong to, other than Robert L. But yeah, my mom is Vivian Phillips, and she's amazing. We call her an arts instigator. She's been involved in the community and in the arts scene for well over 30 years, just pushing and uplifting and making sure that arts, and especially Black arts, is visible and seen in this community. So I'm a proud daughter of two amazing people, for sure.
I mean, and now so many things make sense to me. I'm like, absolutely, you're destined for greatness in arts. I mean, your mom and I have worked together on various projects, and I just got much respect for, you know, how she comes and always being dedicated to community as you are. And so that leads me to why you were even here today. I want to really dive into the Black Film Festival. You guys have been keeping it going. Let's hear a little bit about how it's started.
Absolutely. Well, first, I do just wanted to say, my mother speaks highly of you and Omari. And I just want to, you know, she speaks highly of the work that you guys are doing, always making sure to share what's going on with Converge and just uplifting you. And so I just wanted to extend that on her behalf, that she's really proud of you guys and watching everything that you do as well. So
that means the
I gotta extend that love from Ms. Viv. But yes, as far as Langston and the Seattle Black Film Festival, we are in the 8th 18th year. For those that know, it was formerly the Langston Hughes African American Film Festival. And it started with the then director and a few other community people. So Jackie Moscu, Zola Mumford, who is still involved with the festival to this day, and a few other people that came up with starting the film festival. And then, like I said, we started our work in 2016 as an organization, as an independent nonprofit organization. And as a result, we definitely wanted to make sure that we took on continuing this really important legacy program. It's something that's so important to the Seattle community, especially the Seattle Black community, the central area. So we picked it up. And then we also made a decision a couple of years ago to change the name for various reasons. One, the old name Langston Hughes African American Film Festival is just a mouthful. And two, we wanted to make sure that on a larger scale, on a national and on a global level, that we were representing Blackness in Seattle. We're the only Black film festival in this region. And so we want to really represent that well as inserting the word Black versus African American, because Black represents the diaspora. And so it's not just about African Americans and the work that they're doing in cinema and film, but it's really about Black people from all over the world, which the festival has always represented, but we felt like the name was a little limiting. So that contributed to the name change as well. So this year with the film festival, this is our obviously second virtual film festival. Everybody knows because of this pandemic, we had to make some pivots and go into presenting virtually. We made that transition very quickly last year, and we're blessed to be able to be introduced to some folks that created a platform in response to people having to present their festivals virtually. And so we did that and we presented it for free. This year we're back to a ticketed format, but again, very affordable, very accessible, and we're using a platform that is much more sustainable for our organization as a whole. It's called Elevant. Our festival this year has over 70 films.
Wow.
So that's the largest amount that we've presented, I don't know, since the early days of the festival. We've got so many submissions, and we were able to, our jury was able to sift through, select films. And because we're using this platform, we're able to provide the films on demand, which is why we can offer so many more. So we have video on demand options, as well as our regular kind of screening block format that we usually do with the festival. So people can buy tickets to screening blocks, which are themed, or you can buy a pass that includes all of the screening blocks with all the video on demand, as well as the special events like panel discussions and entertainment and things like that. So if you go to langstonseattle.org/SBFF, you'll get all the information that you need there. But we're really, really excited to present the festival this year. It takes a lot of work.
I mean, I'm just about to ask you about the work that it takes, because as a lover of film myself, especially when we talk about small independent films being made, there is some real groundbreaking work that's happening. Some innovative thought is infused in a lot of the narrative and storytelling that they do. What really struck you as so exciting about this particular film festival this year, being able to show this many films? Give us a couple of highlights for you this year.
Well, I know that there are a couple of films that actually address the time that we're in right now. And so that's going to be an interesting perspective to see how filmmakers approached telling stories in this current space that we're in, dealing with COVID. And so that's one of the things. And then one of the highlights I think that I've seen in the past few years is really seeing the innovation in animation for Black filmmakers. And so we do have animated films that are included in the festival. And that's really exciting to me, because there's so many different ways that we can tell our stories and approach to tell in telling our stories. And so I'm really excited to see some of the animated films that are included in the festival, as well as, there's some horror. There's just so much. It's just so rich. Some of our themes are around, Black love and self-love, around identity, around displacement. And so there's a lot of richness that you're going to get out of the film festival this year. And I think that's offered every year, but we just have a lot to offer this year. And so that's really, really exciting. And then there's always some sort of youth focus and local focus. And so we have some local filmmakers who have participated and been featured in the film festival in the past. Some of their films made it back in this year. There's some new local filmmakers, some familiar faces that you guys might see. For instance, we do have a short film from Sassy Black, a film that she made during early pandemic last year that made it into the festival. We also have a film that features Eva Walker from the Black Tones.
Right on.
And so, yeah, it's just really, really exciting. The breadth of stories that are going to be shown throughout the festival.
Well, I'm getting excited over here because I tell you, it's one thing to always indulge. People been at home, people been indulging on Netflix, binging, all of that. But this is very particular. And one of my last questions really to you is, how do you guys get the name out there so people know to do the submissions, whether it's around the world? How have you guys done that in terms of marketing this film festival to people all over?
That's a great question and a great point. So there's a platform called Film Freeway that we use that most festivals around the world use as well. So filmmakers are usually tapped into Film Freeway. And so we put out our call for submissions all over the place, but it launches on Film Freeway. And so Film Freeway will ping filmmakers and subscribers and things to let them know, hey, this film festival is accepting submissions. And then you can go to our page on Film Freeway, get the details about the festival, know what the requirements are, that you're a Black filmmaker, you're telling a Black story, that kind of thing. And so that's really been one of the primary ways that we're able to get the word out there outside of Seattle, especially. And it has just been, taking off. Because like I said, with us showing 70 films, selecting 70 films this year, can you imagine how many were submitted?
No, that's
in
what
order
I was
for us
ask.
to select
Woo.
that. Yeah. So it's great. I mean, there are stories from several countries being represented in this year's festival.
I just gotta say, I mean, you were talking about us at Converge. I'm proud of y'all. I mean, you guys have been killing it. And honestly, it's so needed when we talk about elevation of Black artistry in a wide variety of ways. But I'm so happy to hear that Seattle is staying really firm on Black film and showing it in a wide variety. That really touches my soul. So thank you again for being here. One more time, I just want to get the logistics out there for people, where they can buy tickets, how much the passes cost.
Yes.
What does that all look like for
Yes.
folks?
So you can go to langstonseattle.org/SBFF. The passes are $65. For over 70 films and a number of events, as well as $15 tickets that give you the themed timed events. So each of those tickets includes a number of films, as well as either a panel discussion, conversation, some entertainment, something like that. So again, very affordable, very accessible. We launch tomorrow, April 16th, and we run through the 26th. And so video on demand content is available starting tomorrow. And then our festival weekend, where you can catch those panel discussions and things like those special events, will be the following weekend, the 23rd through the 25th. So go on there, get your tickets now. The great thing is that we're not going to sell out because it's virtual.
Right.
And so everybody can log on and get their tickets or their pass. And so we're really excited for people to join in and see what this Seattle Black Film Festival is all about.
Amazing. Miss Jazmyn, thank you so much for being here today. This has been an incredible discussion. I'm sure all of you out there have been touched by Jazmyn's presence as much as we have been in studio. So glad you could make it here today. And thanks again for sharing the breadth of your work. It's just phenomenal.
Thank you, Omari, Converge. Again, you guys are doing outstanding work. I'm so proud to know y'all. and just be a tiny part of this. So thank you guys for everything you do as well.
Absolutely. You guys heard it here, heard it best. Get your tickets for the Black Film Festival happening and launching tomorrow. You got some time. Get that video on demand pass, y'all. And stay tuned. We're going to take a break right now. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
Public Health, Seattle, King County, Zero Youth Detention, along with our partners from across the South King County region, are committed to reducing violence and creating the conditions needed for our neighborhoods to be safe and free of crime. Too often, the response to crime and violence has been a piecemeal approach with a program here and a program there. When family units collapse, schools fail to educate, the economy fails to produce jobs, and crime rises, we've looked to law enforcement and punitive measures to save us. Nothing could be more wrong or further from the truth. Law enforcement can't shoulder all the burden or take the rest of us off the hook. We are acknowledging the lived experiences of Black, Brown, and Indigenous communities. We are centering community as the experts who can effectively identify key issues related to systems, policies, and practices that impact children, families, and communities of color across this region. Those most impacted by the issues will help call out and identify the root causes, including structural and systemic factors. 150 residents will partner with King County to develop strategies, solutions, and an action plan that explicitly addresses system changes needed and eliminates barriers to access for Black, Brown, and Indigenous folks. These residents will also identify the criteria used to measure our collective success. Simply put, we need your help as we do the work needed to make King County the safest in this country. It will take specific commitments from all of us, community members, our young people, elders, and leaders from the sectors all across this region. Together, we will get this work done. Please click the link below and sign up for a work group. Or you can recommend a co-facilitator from community for each work group. We look forward to hearing your ideas, concerns, feedback, and solutions as we build a community where all our children can be happy, healthy, hopeful, safe, and thriving.
All right, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. Jazmyn.
Yeah. Man, so good, and honestly, somebody that knows us both and, has really great history. I'm glad that she was able to make it today. Looking forward to the film festival.
Yeah. See, like I get your chair right now. This is the chair with the good lighting.
Oh, there you go.
You know what I'm saying? Like, whoa, hey. Forgot to mention at the top of the show is today is the day where all Washington residents 16 and older are now eligible for the COVID-19 vaccine. And so today, if you're 16 or older in the state of Washington, you can get the vaccine.
Yeah. Lots of folks out there ready to get it, I guess, right?
Also, real quick, we talked about the other day how Human Services, HSD, had put out $10.4 million in RFPs for community groups and organizations to come with ideas to I guess you say impact public safety.
Yeah.
And so we heard back from HSD and they've got about 80 proposals or 80 RFPs there. So we'll track that progress as well. $10.4 million out there to impact public safety. Got another clip here. And actually this one's from CBS as well. Tells the story of this officer in Buffalo, New York, who in 2006 was fired because she tried to stop another officer for who had a suspect in a chokehold. And it was a long fight, but finally she's been vindicated. And actually the city of Buffalo has to reinstate her pension. Take a look at this.
We have an update for you this morning on a story that Jerika Duncan has been following for more than a decade. Carrie-All Horn was dismissed from the Buffalo, New York Police Department after she intervened when a white officer used a chokehold on a black man. This was back in 2006. Now a judge has decided to reverse Horn's termination and reinstate her pension. Jerika Duncan spoke to Horn about why she kept fighting all these years.
Carrie-All Horn never stopped believing in the justice system.
Did you ever think this day would come?
I did think this day would come. That's why I kept fighting.
Horn's story goes back almost 15 years. In 2006, the former Buffalo, New York police officer made headlines after she tried to stop fellow officer Greg KYAC from choking a black suspect, Neil Mack. Horn says she was struck in the face by KYAC at the time.
Get off of him now!
This past summer, after watching George Floyd's breath slip away under the knee of former Minneapolis police officer Derrick Chauvin, Horn recalled why she intervened.
Neil Mack looked like he was about to die. So had I not stepped in, he possibly could have. He was handcuffed and being choked.
To this day, Mack maintains Horn saved his life.
He was choking me. I was handcuffed. Carrier Horn said, "You killing him, Greg," and she reached over and tried to grab his hand around my neck.
The police department brought disciplinary charges against Horn,
even though a judge made a decision regarding
which I covered as a reporter in Buffalo for CBS affiliate WIVB more than a decade ago.
So they can't hide behind the lies.
The department fired the mother of 5 after finding her use of force against a fellow officer was unjustified. She was terminated just months before being eligible to receive her full pension. As for Greg KYAC, he was later sentenced to 4 months in federal prison in 2018 for using unlawful and unreasonable force against 4 black teenagers. In October of last year, Buffalo City's mayor signed the Duty to Intervene law, which would require police to step in if a fellow officer uses excessive force. It's legislation Horn helped write and had been pushing since 2016.
We don't want other officers to go through what I've gone through, but we don't want other victims to go through what George Floyd went through.
That same month, with the help of attorneys Ron Sullivan and Intisar Robb, Horn filed a lawsuit to overturn her 2008 termination. Just this week, a New York State judge ruled that Horn's pension, which she says is worth at least $800,000, must be reinstated.
We asked the judge to vacate the decision, get rid of the decision, and reinstate her nunc pro tunc, a Latin phrase which means bring it back to 2008 and fix this thing. So it's called an equitable remedy that allows judges to go back and, in the interest of justice.
In an 11-page opinion, the judge quoted the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., saying, "The time is always right to do right." He went on to say the city of Buffalo has recognized the error and has acknowledged the need to undo an injustice from the past.
When you read those words, what went through your mind?
Finally, somebody gets it. Somebody understands.
Ron?
It was a powerful decision and really said what needed to be said. It was a gross injustice that happened. And he basically said, look, we're sorry. We got this wrong.
An admission nearly 15 years in the making. Justice delayed, not denied, but sadly only realized because of a tragedy witnessed by the world. For CBS This Morning, Jerika Duncan, New York.
A round of applause for Carrier Horn.
Yes.
Just stuck in there. I mean, I so admire her conviction back then. I love looking at her as an officer back then and the woman she is today, and that she never gave up.
Never gave up.
15 years is a long time, though. But the
I like the quote, the time is always right. Did you write it down?
Yeah, the time is always right to do right.
To do right, yes.
I didn't know what nunc pro tunc it's called.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what they used.
Latin.
And it's close to $1 million, $800,000, but that to me is still not enough for what she's endured and what she's been through. And how interesting that how it really mirrors what is happening today.
Yeah. Well, it's obviously it shouldn't have taken long, but at least it's finally come.
And Jerika.
I know.
Jerika. Wow.
A Jerika flashback.
Yes. How fitting that she was there at the beginning and now she's here to see the conclusions. Very nice, Jerika.
Glad
Duncan.
she's with us.
I mean, this is something that we hope to see more and more and more, where we see real justice being done, justice being served. Congratulations to Carriol's family, I think, and to herself. This is really exciting, honestly. I agree, though, with Gail a little bit. I'm like, she probably should get more, you know what I'm saying? But ultimately, we'll take this as a win. I think it's really important. And again, we've talked about this before, that so much of this really is like, it's one win after another. It's one win after another. And there we have one. So it's good.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is saying that officers have to intervene.
Yes.
Right. Um, you know, as they say, justice delayed. It is justice denied, but justice delayed here. She got some justice to this. Imagine 5 kids fired from the police force. And this guy, you got to wonder what was going on in this other officer's career between 2006 and 2018. 2018 convicted for excessive force against 4 black teens. What about them 12 years in between? They never, you know what I'm saying? They never got documented or reported or anything else. 12 years just in that span.
A multitude
right
of
there.
cases, I'm sure, of people who did not speak up. And one of the things I really love about this case is, again, it's the resiliency.
Yeah,
You know, to
she
be
ain't give
that
up.
resilient, saying, no, I don't care. I know I'm going to be able to seek justice in this. I know that the right thing is going to come about. That's really what is exciting to me here. You know, it's another thing where it's like, you know what? We got to continue to press when we know what's right.
Have to. All right, so we got a few programming notes here tonight. Clapback Culture. Julia Jesse is off tonight, but your girl Besa Gordon is going to be joining Mike Davis. I talked to Mike last night about what we could expect on Clapback Culture today.
Yeah, Julia is out tonight, so I'm going to be joined by Besa. You know her from Rewind with Besa and Cube 93. We're going to have some good energy there, but as far as topics go, we're going to have to catch up on the Derrick Chauvin trial. We're going to talk about Daunte Wright. We're going to try to mix it up and get some fun stuff in there too, but it's been a tough week, so we're definitely going to discuss some pain.
Yeah. Tonight, 7 o'clock, Clapback Culture, Mike Davis joined by Besa Gordon.
You know what? I'm excited. I'm excited to see their dynamic because they already got good chemistry already. So I'm glad that they're going to be able to dive a little deeper.
Yeah. So make sure anywhere that you're watching the Morning Update show, you can catch Clapback Culture tonight at 7 o'clock. Then also tomorrow, Feel Good Friday, Proof in the Play. I know you go way back with Proof. Proof's telling us right here what we can expect from him tomorrow.
Action. What's going on, everybody? It's your main man, Proving the Play. And make sure you join me this Friday for Feel Good Friday. Yeah, that's right. I'm going to be on the Morning Update show with Big O and my sister Treyana as I tell you all about the high school Metro Football Championship. Yeah, the oldest rivalry in Seattle is in the championship game. Make sure you tune in to the Morning Update show weekdays at 11 a.m. every weekday. Big O, Converge Media. You ready for your main man, Proving the Play? I shot you.
I shot you.
I shot you, man. My brother.
Yeah, Proof's been covering local sports for so long, you know, such a high way, you know, in a high capacity. And so, yeah, he's going to be talking about what's going on the sports scene tomorrow. Proof always brings a lot of good energy, too.
You know
Great guest for Feel Good Friday.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. You know, Jake is going to be sitting there with me. I'm so pumped. And to be able to have 2 good brothers, man, that I go so far back with Proof. I won't tell you how far. But you know what? I'm so glad that he'll be on, so we can hear a little bit more about this rivalry here.
Mm-hmm. I'm just glad I won't be here tomorrow.
Yes.
I mean, I love
Enjoy your
all you
day
guys, but man, you know what I'm saying? It's been a week. Any last words before we get out of here today?
Man, Jazmyn here is just as another reminder of how you can see yourself as a part of the solution. You take your talent, take your interest, and move it into solution-oriented options. There is so many things that you can be doing. And I just got to uplift the Seattle Film Festival, the Black Film Festival, one more time. Get your tickets right there on Langston. I'm excited for that. I hope that people really get inspired by some of these films, local and global.
All right, good stuff. So again, tonight, 7 o'clock, Clapback Culture. And that being said, remember, go forward in your purpose, go forward in your humanity. And until tomorrow at 11 a.m., peace.
Lift every voice and sing till earth in heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our
Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day. Let us march on till victory is won. Sing it again now. The victory is won. Victory is won.